Hey, what's going on, wrestling fans? It's your boy Virgil here again. Super excited because tonight we are starting a brand new venture right here on the We Book It podcast. And I could not have asked for a better person to be interviewing. We're going to be talking all about her journey in wrestling and pro wrestling, how she got started and what she's doing today, and really her love for pro wrestling. Guys, she is an indie darling, and we are going to talk all about how she got started and where she's headed, because honestly, if you won't watch out, I believe Emily's headed to the top. But before I bring her on, let's get you with that intro.
All your favorite wrestling shows rolled into one. Welcome to the We Book It podcast. Let's start the show.
Well, I jacked that up. Well, we're starting off on the right foot already. There we go. Added you now. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. A legit badass, an indie darling, coming into our realm here on the We Book It podcast. Guys, I am thrilled to welcome Miss Emily Saxton to the show. Welcome to the show, Emily.
Hi, thank you for having me. By the way, is that a Bears poster in the background?
Yes, I have multiple Bears posters in the background.
Yeah, all right, so the podcast, it was great talking to you. I got things to go do. School Vikings.
Sit back down in that chair. We got stuff to talk about. Skull Vikings this, Skull Vikings that. I don't want to hear any of that.
Come on, you're talking to a Minnesota Vikings fan here. Even though I live in the great state of New Jersey.
Which, by the way, how does that happen? How do you end up a Vikings fan and you live all the way in Jersey? You got two teams to choose from.
Yeah, and they both suck.
Yeah, the Vikings ain't much better
this year, but we're going to go back to being like Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, to eventually owning the Bears. So growing up, my dad was a Minnesota Vikings fan. And so by life of being spawned into this family, it was very clear that I was going to be a Vikings fan. And just my love for the team continued to grow, especially after he passed away when I was 8 from cancer. So yeah, I've just been a lifelong Vikings fan, and a lifelong just dealing with heartbreak constantly, all the time, because that's what the Vikings are good at. They're good at playing really well, getting to the playoffs, getting bounced and giving you heartbreak, or just a season where they're supposed to be really good, like this year, and it just being a year of heartbreak. So
yeah, well, I don't feel sorry for you at all, because I am accustomed to heartbreak myself after years and years and years.
Double doink?
Years and years and years of incompetence.
And double doinks.
Finally, see, you know what? You just know how to take the knife. You really are a heel. You just know how to take the knife and just twist it and just, she just takes the knife, she just jacks it on in there and just twists it on there.
Especially the Chicago Bears.
That's
fans,
horrible.
Yes. Oh, no, it's great
terrible.
when you're a Minnesota Vikings fan.
That's okay. That's fair. All right. So, Emily, first and foremost, thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, just bringing you on. So, a little bit of backstory, and I shared this off camera with Em while I was talking to her, and I was saying, like, so me and the guys, obviously Frito's coach, C, and Teddy Long and everybody else, we all wanted to do this. We wanted to start focusing and putting a spotlight on the independent wrestling scene, just because it's such a growing scene out here, and there's so many different independent brands out there that need highlighted, and we want to start highlighting pretty much every month a different independent wrestler that's out here busting their ass, because it's not easy work at all, but it's so rewarding. And like I said, we just want to spotlight and give flowers where flowers are due. And so how I rolled up on Emily is through Snapchat out of nowhere. Like I'm thinking about this, and I'm like, man, there has to be an indie wrestler I could start with, right? Somebody just has to come out of nowhere. And literally one day on my discovery side of my Snapchat, boom, I see this redhead that is wrestling their ass off in the ring, and I'm like, huh. And like I'm like, nah, like, because all the videos that you make, kudos to you, look so freaking legit. I'm just like, there's
Thank you.
no way possible that they would want to come on to this little bitty podcast thing we're doing here. And sure enough, you just keep showing up and keep showing up and keep showing up on my discovery. And I'm like, you know what? Closed mouths don't get fed, and I would hate myself if one day I turn on my TV and she is AEW Women's World Champion or WWE Women's World Champion or WWE Women's Champion, and I'm like, I had all the opportunity in the world to just shoot my shot at hey, you want to come on and do an interview, and I didn't take it. So, and of course, we book it, fam. Emily was so gracious enough to take busy time out of her schedule to sit and talk with us and just tell us about the life of an independent pro wrestler, talk about her start. And really, like I said, I just want to spotlight you and give you the floor to just from where you started, just kind of tell us how things started for you in wrestling. How did you get into pro wrestling and go from there?
Yeah, no, first off, I appreciate you having me on. I got the email. It was like probably like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, or probably when I woke up. I don't remember, but I just remember looking at my phone. I was like, oh, cool, podcast invite. Yeah, sure, why not? Um, but my quick question for you, I got to turn the tables on you. What was the first video you saw on Snapchat? Because I know it's probably in Spotlight, which is like their version of TikTok.
Yeah,
And by the way, to like anybody out there, if you're not uploading the Spotlight, what are you doing? It's like a new opportunity to grow. They've had it for 6 years now. Not many people are constantly posting. So the more you post to it, especially good content, you're going to grow. Like, market yourself, people. But yeah, so what was the
absolutely.
first video you saw? Sorry, I just had to yell at the
First,
audience out there.
you're okay. First video I saw of you was, if I'm not mistaken, you were out training it looked like almost in a backyard. And you were like running the ropes, and like you were just like out there training, and you were trying to do I think you were trying to learn the maneuver where like you go over the rope, like you get like whiplash into the rope and you go over the rope, and then you like kind of like walk the end. And so like I'm like, I'm like, so she's training, so she's still learning, but she's also actually really good already. Like it all like makes sense. It all like
Wait,
works together. And I'm just like,
so me whiplashed into the corner, and then I was out of the ring. So I got Bandera'd out. I posted
yes,
that. Oh,
yes,
yeah, that was one of the training sessions at GTS Wrestling, led by Tony Cheney, who has been my coach slash trainer. I want to go say back to March-ish. Um, constantly working with him like once a week, all the way up to my weight loss surgery. And then I was out for a month. I couldn't wrestle, but I took my recovery very seriously. And so they told me like initially probably be out 2 to 3 months. Day 30 went for my follow up, and the doctor's like, "You've had a really quick recovery. Ease back into it. You can ease back into it." It's like, cool. You said I'm clear. Did I ease back into it? No. The very first thing I did was there was going to be training anyway that same day. So just hook one person underneath and just like flip over them, just
mm.
doing small little flip bumps. Like first
You know,
thing back. But
that sounds just from the short time that we've talked, that sounds exactly like something you would do.
yeah.
Oh, ease back into it. Nah, I'm gonna go full force right back into it. We're gonna get it done.
Yeah, so that was like that was July 9th, because December 9th, June 9th, my dates are all messed up. June 9th was my gastric sleeve surgery, because I struggled to lose weight no matter what I would do. I constantly worked out 5, 6, 7 days a week. I had a nutritionist. I changed my eating habits. I was like doing better with my nutrition, working out for like 2 years pretty much straight, and just couldn't lose weight. which
Mm-hmm.
sucked. And so thankfully, my insurance covered the gastric sleeve surgery for me. And it's been a game changer being almost 100 pounds down. So at that point, that around that clip, that probably would have got posted in August. It's
Mm-hmm.
probably close to 50-ish pounds down already.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's crazy. That was the first video you saw. Because like I just sometimes forget what I post to like spotlight in general. And yeah, that it's been a pretty much crazy year, I would say, especially since I really started taking wrestling more seriously.
Yeah. So tell me about your start in wrestling as far as you becoming a pro wrestler yourself.
So it started, I want to say, it's the summer of 2023, maybe. Yeah, it sounds like summer 2023, I think it was. I had this idea because I was a YouTuber first, social media creator first. And I was like, man, I've always loved wrestling. I've always loved like watching it, the theatrics of it, the stunts, everything. I was like, I know this guy who runs a YouTube show called GTS Wrestling on the Silly Super Pop YouTube channel. I was like, let me just hit up Grim and be like, hey, I'd love to do this where I try pro wrestling. You teach me a few little things, do a little match, whatever. Um, and we did, and that was like the start of me doing it. And then it took like a year to get that video out because I had some issues with trying to find the right editor for it to tell the right story. And then eventually it was one of those things like, screw it, if I want it done, I have to do it myself, type of
Mm-hmm.
deals. But it pretty much was just a YouTube video idea. And the moment I got in the ring, I fell in love with it. It was like the love from being a fan to now physically being in the ring was there. Was I terrified? Yes. I couldn't even hold the second rope to take a back bump. Um, Thankfully, my bumps are way much better than they used to be, but I was just terrified. And so that whole entire thing really started the journey for me. And from there, it turned into like me once a week showing up to like a GTS taping, took some time off, and then like started coming around, becoming a character on the show, learning a little things. And at times, was I good? No, no, because GTS usually is one of those things where it's like kind of almost on the job training where like you're
Yeah.
learning how to wrestle, but you're also learning how to work for a camera and
Right.
perform and like also work a crowd of like all the other wrestlers around the ring at the same time. So it's like it's a really cool way to get that like early experience. And that's kind of like how I started. And then in the last year, it was around March is when I like started taking it more seriously. Because in around that time we had a training session that was being led by Tony Cheney himself,
Mm-hmm.
and that day, I guess he already knew, none of us knew, he was going to be on Monday Night Raw in like 2 days as like he was going there to be an extra. Didn't know if he was going to be on the show or not. Um, but he
Mm-hmm.
gave this like really passionate speech because like I accidentally overslept and only like one or two people came out to the training and you could tell like he was disappointed because he wanted to teach and help people get better and do well. And that speech like really resonated with me. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. Next week, if there's training, I'm going to it. Like I want to do really, really well. And then that Monday, I'm sitting at home watching Monday Night Raw 6 weeks until WrestleMania. And all of a sudden I'm just like, what the fuck? Pardon my language. That's
You're
Tony.
good.
Tony's right there, like holding CM Punk and Seth Rollins back. I think it was Seth or Punk. I think it was Seth. He accidentally got hit by Seth in the head. Um, and so yeah, and it was like all of that. I was like, I really need to start like showing up and like learning. And ever since then, it was the best decision to like just constantly show up. And he's taught me honestly a lot. He's helped me out so much. And I'm like genuinely grateful for everything that I've learned in like the past year from him. And he's a great wrestler. Somebody I think you should definitely have on, him and his wife, Francesca Chini. Both are featured right here for Titan Championship for Saturday, January 24th. But Yeah, he would do like these weekly trainings. I would like start going to them, and I had the weight loss surgery, so I couldn't train. Got cleared
Mhm.
day 30, and around this time I knew GTS wrestling, which, as you can tell, I am currently one half of the greatest, most prettiest, most athletic tag team champions of all time, with my tag team partner Mark the Shark Garofalo. And it was around this time, I found out like, oh, we're going to be having a live show for
Mhm.
GTS, and it's going to be at the Icarus Brewery. And last time we had 200 people there. And I remember I turned to him and I turned to Fran. I was like, I don't know what I have to do, but I'm going to work my butt off to earn an opportunity to be on that show.
There you go.
And a few weeks go by. I'm constantly at training, trying to learn and improve and just soak everything in from Tony, from Fran, from Mark, who would go to the trainings, from Ice T, uh, from like just all these people who have way more experience than me. And, all of a sudden I find out I'm winning what's known as like the GTS Junk in the Trunk, which is a mini version of their Food in the Fridge, which is their version of the Money in the Bank. So with Food in the Fridge, you can cash it in on any title, but with the Junk in the Trunk, you could only cash it in on the US and IC titles for GTS. And so I found out like, hey, you're going to be going over and winning this. And you're also in a week or two will be going over and winning the IC title. And things can change as they do all the time in wrestling. So I was like, oh my gosh, like what? And I remember I looked at Fran, I was like, so that means it's probably going to be you and me at the brewery, more likely. And that only gave me more motivation to continue to improve and continue to get better, because I didn't want to go out there and stink up, in front of like a couple hundred people. And we sold out with 350 tickets. So it was very important for me to make sure I went to training to just soak in everything I could and just to like give it my all. Like, did I have some bad days? Of course. Like, not everybody's always going to have the most perfect training session or be 100% on their game. But that whole entire time, I was just like, I got to do whatever I can to A, earn that opportunity, which thankfully I did, and then B, keep that opportunity, and C, just continue to improve. And so, like, once I knew we had that together, it was just, time to go to work. Like, the work already
Yeah.
started, but it was
Yeah.
time to really go to work. And he introduced me to a saying from when he was doing his motion cap for a game that it'd be really cool, like, when it's out. And on the wall in the place, he took a photo, and on the wall it said, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. And that saying resonated a lot with me. I was like, you know what? I might not be the most talented person, but I'm somebody that, like, when I work hard, I can outwork anybody. And so I started using that as my motivation to have that spot on the show. And I still live by it right now. And, we got to the live show. We had a great match. I lost my Intercontinental Championship in front of 350 people, friends, family. Yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah. I before knowing that you're a Vikings fan, I felt bad for you for losing your IC strap at one of the biggest shows. Now I don't feel so bad for you. Actually, I'm quite happy that you lost it. Ha.
So I will say this, because I've said it on Instagram before, and like the caption about like the match and all that. Uh, quite frankly, I was okay and happy with losing it. It was day 55 of my reign on October 23rd. And, first off, it was just an amazing experience to have that opportunity to perform in front of 350 people. On top of having friends and family, my niece and nephew there watching, I did the one thing you shouldn't do as a heel. I high-fived my nephew, and you shouldn't high-five anybody as a heel. I did
It's a
it
cardinal sin.
twice. Yeah, and I was like, and like another wrestler, Jack, named Jack, he was like, should have just like, gave your nephew the finger. And I was like, I love it, but it would have made him cry. And I would have had to explain to him what a work is.
Yeah.
And yeah, so, but I knew
Yeah.
for
You can't, you
quite
can't,
a
you
few
can't break
weeks
fame. You
that,
can't break kayfabe that quick.
no. My nephew's got to like learn eventually what kayfabe is.
Yeah.
But I knew
Mm-hmm.
for a few weeks that I wasn't going over, which I was totally fine with, because for me in real life, Francesca Chini is my best friend. And so
Mm.
to be the one to not only just lose to my best friend, she was going to be making history that night as the first female GTS Grand Slam champion. And
Wow.
so for me, it just meant a lot that I
Mhm.
got to be the one to help put my friend over, as she got to be the one to help me be in one of my biggest matches. Because at that time, that was only my fourth match on the Indies to
Wow.
date. So yeah, it was like very big for me, just
And
all
carrying
around.
a
And I
championship
was,
gold. That
yeah,
that's that's a testament, I think, to your work ethic. I think anytime indies, big promotions, it doesn't matter. If they trust you to put a championship around your waist, that means that not only do you have the work ethic, that also means that they trust that you're going to do the right thing by the title. And when the time is right, drop the title where it's supposed to be. And I mean,
exactly.
to credit yourself, Emily, you immediately did what you had to do. You did business that night. You did a good thing of business in front of the biggest crowd, dropping the belt and putting over somebody that then becomes a Grand Slam champion. I mean, that's almost like an honor. Like I know I made the Vikings joke, but in all seriousness, that was actually a pretty big honor, and you did a good bit of business right there.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I knew when I got the IC title, I did the Seth Rollins little
Mm-hmm.
thing, because like I accidentally bonked Fran in the head with the junk in the trunk, and I just felt terrible. And I was like, oh gosh, okay, well I gotta go pin this person real quick and do that. And I celebrated and made sure she was okay. But then I asked Grim, I was like, or not asked him, I thanked him. I was like, Grim, thank you for this. His exact words were, "Don't fuck this up." And I was like, noted. I appreciate the opportunity, because
What a
GTS isn't
promoter.
your typical, GTS isn't your typical indie show. Like
Sure.
GTS doesn't run many live shows. It's like one every few months, usually at the brewery, because it's more a YouTube show. It's a
Yeah.
YouTube show about wrestling that's more storytelling, entertainment, comedy, all with a mixture of wrestling into it. So
Yep.
like you'll have like amazing character wrestlers like the Green Oracle, who's in a costume wrestler, and you don't know who he is, but he's really talented, or some different ones like our version of Slender Man.
Mm-hmm.
So GTS isn't like your typical indie, but like we can go to a venue, especially like Icarus Brewery, and have the place jam packed compared to
Yeah.
like most indies, which is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, and listen, guys, if you haven't already, you can go and watch Emily's matches. I myself, obviously, I was so geeked when she agreed to do these interviews that I went and immersed myself in Emily Saxton's life, which feels like a creeper, but it also makes me a very, very, very good podcaster because I did my homework on Emily's life before I have her on my show, because I didn't want to do the discredit of not knowing her before the interview. So but those matches are legit. You can see all the different type of people in the brewery. There's people upstairs, people downstairs, around the ring. They got the
It just
entrance
got featured in
walkway.
a Maven video. Not my
Yeah,
match,
yeah,
but Grim vs Mage was featured, and it was funny because like people give Grim shit,
yeah,
but like in that video, Maven's like, Grims knows what he's doing, and it was like cool to see that. And he was going to rank Grim at one point number one, but it was like the one time Grim went against everything he normally would do on the psychology basis, just to
mm-hmm.
like help put Mage over. And yeah, he was going to be number one, and then probably would have ranked number two right behind Logan Paul, because Logan Paul got the number one spot. But
Wow.
it's cool. It's cool, like, what GTS has done and continues to do and will do. And, right now I'm just thankful I get to be one half of the greatest current tag team.
Yeah, no, I mean, clearly, like I said, you're carrying around gold. That's a beautiful championship belt that you are able to strut around with, and be proud of. And
I'll
not
show
to
you that right
mention,
there.
oh yeah, look at that thing. That thing is beautiful. Not to mention the video you and your tag team partner did together is hilarious. Also,
Which one?
where you guys are singing the song, and like the camera's like spinning around. Like I
Oh,
said,
that one. You want to hear a funny story about that?
Absolutely. This is your interview.
So I'm gonna take all the credit for it. No, I'm
Sure.
just joking. 'Cause that Mark would be like, "What the heck?" So Mark was like, "Hey, we should do this trend," and I was like, And then he's like, "We should do this trend." I was like, and I was like, "Hey, Mark, yeah, let's definitely do this trend, right?" And then we did it, and it did well. And I was like, "Hey, Mark, I had such a great idea of us doing this trend, right?" And he was like, "What the heck?" And I was like, "No,
Yeah.
good idea. He's got some great ideas." That was one where I was just like, I wasn't feeling it, and then we did it, and then it worked. I was like, "All right, Mark, you get this one." And that was
Yo,
before we were tag champs. But I got some bad news here, Virgil.
go ahead.
Some very, very bad news. So, do you know what Christmas chaos is?
I've heard of said Christmas chaos.
So, at GTS Wrestling, every year when it's the holiday season, we have this
Hmm.
event known as Christmas chaos. And unfortunately, every single champion has to relinquish their titles. So, up
Oh no.
until Christmas chaos, right? Thankfully, we have no more title defenses scheduled for our wonderful tag team championships. I love how that just fell right to me there. Um, Thankfully, we have no more matches scheduled for our titles, but in a few days, we will have to relinquish these.
Hmm.
And then we have to go into Christmas chaos where anybody could possibly become a champion, right? There's a good possibility that I could win this and somebody else could win the other half. And then me and Mark aren't tag team champions anymore, which would be heartbreaking. But at the same time, like I could go in and I could become the new legendary YouTube champion. Because what happens is it's almost like a battle royale, except instead of people getting thrown over the top rope, everybody's in the ring fighting. And if you pin somebody, you get to go pick a present. And you can go pick
Wow.
any present on the table. It could be my GTS Tag Team Championship, at least my one half of it. It could be the YouTube Legendary Championship. It could be my GTS Intercontinental Championship that I lost on October 23rd, or any of the other titles. So anybody, if you score a pin, can become champion at Christmas Chaos. So we're hoping we can go in and somehow, by the grace of God, both of us pick our tag titles.
Yeah. And that
Or
would
any
that
other
would be
title.
insane. Or any other title. I was gonna say, because I'm not gonna lie, that GTS IC championship, it just looked like it gravitated to you. It looked like it belonged with you. I mean, you had the entrance with it, the way you walked out with the belt, the way you had the swag with it and everything like that. And I was like, you know what? Emily makes it. There are certain champions that make titles look good. And you make that GTS IC championship look good. And that's the last compliment I'm going to give you because you're a Vikings fan.
I appreciate that. Hey, did I ever say, you got such a great background, especially with the Minnesota Vikings logo right there? Anyways, with that entrance, I got a funny story. So that whole
Okay.
day I was freaking out, right? And I think it's a common thing for a lot of wrestlers, but we're talking now like moments before my music's going to hit because Fran's
Mm-hmm.
already out there doing her entrance, and I'm like freaking out, trying to go over the match on the top of my head. And like
Right.
we put this match together a little bit of time ahead because we knew it was going to be us. And so Tony Cini aged in that whole entire match, and it turned out so well. And he's just got such a great mind when it comes to professional wrestling. And so he put mine and Fran's match together and helped us put such a really fun, entertaining match that we could do to entertain the fans. And Fran's on her way out to the ring, and I'm sitting there in like, in the go position behind the curtain, get ready to go out. And I'm just like
Mm-hmm.
freaking out and freaking out, freaking out. And Mark, my tag team partner, standing right there, because he was in a fatal four-way, five-way, four-way, right after that match. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like freaking out. He's like, breathe. I'm like, Mark, it's not working. And all of a sudden my music hit. And it was one of those moments of like, well, this is my song. I have to go out there in like 2 seconds because of like the certain part of my music that I'd like to like just go through the curtain. And it was one of those, as soon as I just went through the curtain, I wasn't Emily Saxton, the person. Like I was Emily Saxton, the wrestler, the entertainer, the actor, the performer, you name it. And it was just like a mind switch. And so like that's when I had that strut and the facials, everything to it. And as I'm going, I just remembered like what my neighbor Mike said, because he was a big Stone Cold fan. He's a big wrestling fan. He's like, champions don't wear their straps. He says they put them on their shoulders. And so like as I'm going out, I just unhooked it and just threw it right on my shoulder and then raised it and all that fun stuff. But yeah, a lot of freaking out moments before my music hit. And then my music hit and I was still kind of freaking out until I went out there.
But I think the best part about it is had you not shared that, nobody never would have known, because when you go out there, like, you just kind of exude this confidence. Where does that confidence come from? And honestly, did you have any before wrestling? Did you have any prior experience with, acting or theater or any doing wrestling in school and things like that? I will say, before you say anything, I am a former amateur wrestler myself. I wrestled 1 year in high school, amateur wrestling. I got kicked off the team because the coach hated me. All right, now the floor is yours.
Okay, so real quick, we do have something else in common. I did
Okay.
1 year of amateur wrestling in middle school. And I was
Okay. All right.
horrible at it. I went like 1-8.
Okay.
In terms of the confidence, I guess, I don't know. It's just one of those things where in that moment, I knew I had a job to do. And
Yeah.
that job was to go out there, entertain people that paid for a ticket to go and have a good time. Also, my job
Yeah.
was to go out there and put on a good show, make my opponent, especially as the heel, make my opponent and the babyface look good and strong. And it was just one of those things. It was just a flip switch, like all of a sudden, oh, I can't be nervous anymore because the moment's now. And I
Yeah.
have to go out there and perform and not shit the bed. Um, so in that moment, it's just years of doing YouTube, being in other YouTubers' videos, on camera, off camera, behind camera, having to just be a part of things. I just know how to like act and be an actor in a way. But, you know, confidence, I feel like everybody has that confidence in them. You just need that one thing to bring it out in like
Mm-hmm.
in situations like that. Because 2 weeks prior, me and Francesca Chini worked a match for when I made my debut for Titan Championship Wrestling. So
Okay.
same thing, extremely nervous. There was like close to 100 people in that building. But once my music hit, it just went into being a Karen. Even though the disruptor version of my Karen and that version of a Karen are kind of the same but different at the same time. It's just, as soon as the music hits, I have to just go do the job. Because you don't want
Yeah.
to let your opponent down. You don't want to let the fans down. And most importantly, at the end of the day, you don't want to let yourself down out there.
Yep. Yeah.
So I think that's where it really comes down. It's just you don't want to let people down, especially if people paid money in today's economy to come watch a wrestling show, to be entertained. You just want to go out there and do a good job.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Where did you get the idea of the character of Emily Saxton? Because we know Emily Saxton, the person, that's one side, and you've mentioned you have two, and you're able to flip that
Yeah.
switch. So explain to me the creation of Emily Saxton, the pro wrestler.
So I've always kind of liked to complain, right?
Yeah.
Just not much, but just a little, right? Like everybody complains here and there. And I just always see Karens everywhere online and like the Karen videos. And I thought it'd be fun to just make fun of them by being a Karen myself. And then my favorite professional
Yeah.
wrestler at the same time plays a Karen almost, Chelsea Green. And hence why sometimes like
Okay.
on GTS, you hear me go with like the greatest, most prettiest, most athletic, super viral, kind of like her, right? Because it's the inspiration,
Yep.
taking and twisting and putting things to my own type of it. So that's kind of like where a lot of the inspiration came from, was just like watching these Karens freak out, which I always thought was funny and hilarious. Me sometimes complaining, which is what a Karen does, except they will get like real
Sure.
loud, want to talk to your manager. Like, Mike, I want to speak to your manager about you being a Chicago Bears fan right now. Like, don't make me go get this phone book and call your manager about you liking the
Yeah.
Bears, you know?
Yeah.
So it's one of those. And Chelsea is by far my favorite pro wrestler. I've had the privilege of being able to DM with her from time to time and just ask her for some advice. And she's always been a really good, genuine human being to me.
Wow.
And that's kind of like where part of the inspiration of like the Emily Saxton character is from her. And she's one of the people that I look up to the most, and I have nothing but the most respect for. I think one day she deserves to win one of the top women's championships in WWE. And
Yep.
I don't think that's a hot take at all. I think it's well deserved. I think it should happen this year in 2026, like when the new year starts. But those are like the few places where the Emily Saxton character has kind of come from. And then the like final version, which is kind of like why I somewhat play on GTS as like the disruptor, that came of, Karen's loving to disrupt. They're
Mm-hmm.
disruptors. They disrupt everything. But on top of that, like I like to disrupt people's social media feeds. I like to disrupt people's plans, whether it's in the pro wrestling world or in the pro wrestling world. And so the disruptor is still a Karen, but she's a badass, right?
Yeah.
She has that confidence. Like when her music hits, she's walking out there with a purpose. And then she goes get in the ring and, oh, wait, I'm not ready. We're going to do it on my time, and then gets dragged back into the ring by her hair by her opponent. That's
Which
what
happened to you.
Yeah, which happened. Which was honestly such one of those spots, like when we go back to talk about the creativity and the mind Tony Cini has for wrestling. That was one of the things immediately he thought of. And there were some things we had to cut out day of because we couldn't really fight out of the ring per the brewery. And so he was just like, hey, do this, and you guys can leave right back into this. And it's just like, oh, that makes sense. And yeah, so that whole entire like spot of me getting my hair, like that whole match was all him putting it together for us. But that's like one of those things. It's like I go out, and then Kat's like, or friends like, hey, when you're out there, be like, we'll do it on my time. I'm not ready. And then, go back in, get pulled by your hair, and then from there it's off to the races of losing.
Yeah. No, I mean,
which is honestly the best. Losing.
Yeah.
I know people like to win, but if like you want me to lose, I will lose as long as I get to wrestle. Because like I'm still obviously training and like
Sure.
trying to improve and get to where I'd like to be, way better than I was a year ago, and that's because of my coach Tony Cini. But now I'm also going to school once a week in Pennsylvania, and if you want me to lose, I will go out there and happily lose because I got an opportunity to go out there and perform.
Yep. I love that you said that because a couple things. First and foremost, on the We Book It podcast. So on our regular shows where we review Raw, SmackDown, everything like that, I have been adamant, especially on our Sunday night stunner shows, that hey, listen, Chelsea Green has by far. We're gonna do the We Book It Awards at the end of the year, and I'll be damned. It's gonna be between her or Jade Cargill, probably because Stephanie Vicker is growing on me. Naomi didn't have a long enough time because she got pregnant. So when I'm looking at women's wrestlers of the year, Toni Storm, Chelsea Green, Jade Cargill are right up there for me when I'm thinking of women's wrestlers right now that are just rocking my world. Obviously outside of Miss Emily Saxton, but like I said, but those wrestlers have, to me, done so much. Especially Chelsea. I have such a respect for her because they made her into a comedy act and she killed it. They put her with all ego. She's killing it. They send her to AAA, killing it. Give her back the United States Championship because she's the only one that made that damn title relevant. Killing it. I mean, it just everything she touches turns to gold. And I think it's because she was never willing to take herself so serious that she would say no to anything. And like you see the people that really have success in pro wrestling really don't usually say no to much. Like that Miz algorithm of how to be a pro wrestler is really to never say no, never turn down a signing. Like you never turned down a podcast opportunity, never turn down, like I said, something that you feel like, oh, I may be too good for this, I may be too good for that. Because in the end, promoters see that stuff, and if they feel that they can work with you and you still guard your character as well as pay your dues, I mean, they're going to push you to the moon. And I mean, like I said, You've already been IC champ. You're a tag team champ right now. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. And listen, I'm not Paul Heyman, but I do have spoiler alerts myself. For you to potentially one day be the YouTube champ, why not? I mean, like I said, the sky's the limit for Emily Saxton character.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, it just comes down to, not taking yourself seriously, but also like just having fun. Isn't that what
Yeah,
like wrestling's supposed to be anyways? Just having fun.
yeah.
Like for me, ultimately, yes, I want to continue improving in the ring. That's highly important, especially when you work the indies. But one of the things I've learned from the few live shows that I've done, people just want to be entertained.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people like. Most people can do flippity flips. I'm not a flippity flip person. I was shocked last week at wrestling school when I was on the outside of the ring and I just had to pull myself back and flip over the opponent when they're on the middle rope and then hit off the rope and then just get cut off. Like I was shocked that I flipped myself over because, like I said, I don't do flippy things, right? That's just
I
not
get you.
me. But what is
Yep.
me is somebody who likes to go out there and just entertain people. And
Yeah.
so if I can go out there and get my ass kicked for 20 minutes, but be entertaining at the same time and entertain somebody, that's all that matters. Oh, you got to
Yeah.
go out there and you got to lose? Cool. This year, I was the GTS loser belt loser. Do you know what that is?
Don't.
Okay, so unfortunately, this belt is no longer around because, in my opinion, it was great for comedy. What the GTS loser belt is, it's like a reverse hardcore belt. So
Okay.
24/7, you could pin somebody. But what happens is if you get pinned by the loser belt loser, you then become the loser belt loser. And then that person that pinned you is no longer a loser. Right?
What a great gimmick idea. Wow.
Yes. Credit to Grimm and GTS for that one. So what happened was, and this kind of built like a funny story that went into also the brewery show eventually, was legitimately the Genies had to run an episode of GTS Wrestling. And
Mm-hmm.
during that time, they put together that, like, okay, Emily is going to actually win and this was part of the directive that, like, I would become the loser belt loser. And I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
cool. It gives me something to do, right? Like, most times, yes, a title's a prop in wrestling to help tell stories or whatever. For me, I looked at that. I was like, oh, I can do comedy with this. So the Genies are running this episode. And during this episode, I get put into a quote unquote squash match against Big Billy Gold. And match is less than a minute. I get my head taken off by a line. Then he drops the big leg on me like Hogan. And 1, 2, 3, I'm out. I'm selling it. The referee at the time, Salvatore Alpene, he's the loser belt loser. Sees the perfect opportunity like the rated R superstar and goes and just pins me. And then
Wow.
Ice T Curtis, who's a part of the Cheney family, comes in just 1, 2, 3, quick count like that. I
Wow.
wake up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I did it. I'm finally a champion. I'm going into Grimmomania, which is GTS's version of WrestleMania, as the new IC champion. That was the other part. It was supposed to be for the IC title that was on the line.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hold it up. I'm celebrating. They're celebrating with me. And I turn around and it's like, no, no. The discovery of learning that I'm now the loser belt loser. And so that for me is one of those things like, oh, hey, can you do this? Will you be willing to be the loser belt loser? Yeah, of course. It gives me something to do. As long as I have
Yeah.
something to do, that's all I care about, right? Whether
Yep.
it's a storyline or something that I got to like be funny with. And that was the loser belt loser belt. And, in that moment, my character who was like getting all of like this, had all of this, like, I want to say moxie and was like doing well. All of a sudden, everything was shattered about them, especially being a Karen. Like everything was shattered. And now I'm a loser. Excuse me,
Wow.
my stomach from drinking all that water. But that happened and it was like a cool storyline and arc for me of like rediscovering myself
Mm-hmm.
through that time, especially as a Karen and trying to become a Karen again, and like going in matches and just getting killed within like 30 seconds because my character forgot how to fight. My character forgot how to
Wow.
wrestle just for it to be entertaining. And
Yeah.
then like, we go to do the Grimmomania like pre-show press conference episode and I go to cut my thing and my time gets cut short because I'm a loser and nobody wants to listen to me because I'm a loser. And all this is like, you're just nothing but a loser. And then eventually 2 weeks before my weight loss surgery, we had this thing where I quote unquote pinned a fan, and now a fan is the forever loser about loser because I am no longer a loser. But I'm the greatest loser that there's ever been in GTS. I'll just put it like that.
Oh my gosh, we should actually title this episode Emily Saxton, the greatest loser that there's ever been in GTS.
No, that's a terrible idea. I'm going to want to speak to your management, which I'm assuming is everybody else.
Hey, what's up, We Book It fam? Man, I hate that we had to cut the interview right there. Emily was just about to get into some more of her fascinating story. However, we ran a little bit over on time. So here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to do a part 2. That's right, a part 2 release of Emily's video of her interview with me right here on the Indy Corner. Make sure you guys tune in next Wednesday for that second part 2 of Emily's fascinating journey into pro wrestling. We're also going to cover her being a part of Beast Games and how part 2 of Emily's interview. Listen, if you are an independent pro wrestler out there and you want to be featured on the Indy Corner, listen, we are taking bookings and we would love an opportunity to interview you. All you got to do is contact your boy Virgil right here at godinme.mj@gmail.com. Make sure you put into the reason for your email bar. Just let us know that you want to be on the show. We are interviewing all independent pro wrestlers. We want to give you guys your flowers, give you guys the spotlight. Yeah, you can even take the video and use it maybe to try to get a tryout with someone else. So we'll see what happens. But listen, do not miss this opportunity. We appreciate each and every last one of you that are tuning in. And remember, part 2 of Emily's interview will be next week. Until then, keep those booking pencils sharp. Keep on booking.